So I'm Brendan Clanky. I've worked with Transcend about 5 or so months now. Regional sales executive, work in the Southeast, and then work with engineering firms, OEMs, and utilities.
I'm Jason Taylor. I'm founder and CEO of Invicta Water. We're located in Burlington, North Carolina, and we make PFAS solutions for drinking water, wastewater, landfills, you name it.
Cool. And so, Jason, can you tell me a little bit more about what Invicta Water does?
So we have a simplified solution for the market for PFAS. We have systems that take your PFAS contaminated water in, separate the PFAS from the water, and destroy it all in one system in a continuous flow process.
Awesome. Sounds super simple. Can you tell me a little bit more about the instrumentation that goes into building Invicta Water's tool?
So we have essentially two technologies. The first is a foam fractionation system, and that strips the PFAS compounds from the water. And then that creates a foam with all the PFAS in it. And we take that foam and we run it through our special photocatalytic destruction system, which then mineralizes the PFAS compounds and essentially eliminates the PFAS and eliminates the waste stream.
Awesome. And so can you tell me a little bit more about what technologies it works with? Are you guys able to work with any type of PFAS system or any type of drinking water plant, or is it specific to one?
Yeah, so it works with any water system, essentially. We currently are installing and have a pilot in various locations on the drinking water side. We will be installing systems for pilots on the wastewater side, and we're in talks to do landfills as well. And it will handle just about any type of water coming in.
Awesome. And then we got connected through South Carolina Rural Water. I come from that background. You know Ricky and some of the people at South Carolina Rural. Can you talk a little bit more too about how those systems need help and what you guys are doing to kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah, so a lot of the rural water municipalities really don't have engineering resources. And something like PFAS is really overwhelming. So you have an organization like Rural Water that is assisting these municipalities with this issue. However, the other big issue is the complication and difficulty with the traditional solutions for PFAS.
Awesome. So we at Transcend work with utilities, engineers, and OEMs, split about a third each way. Can you talk a little bit too about how you guys work with those utilities and engineers?
Sure. So what we've tried to do, and this is a lot like what Transcend, I believe, does as well, is we've tried to make the solution as simple as possible. And decomplicate the PFAS issue for these smaller municipalities and the large ones. And so instead of a complicated, difficult engineering activity, we've made it as simple as possible with a plug-and-play solution that's easily modeled and easily understood.
Awesome. So it sounds super simple. Can you talk a little bit too about the structures behind how your PFAS system works?
Sure. So PFAS naturally goes to air-water interfaces. So if you put bubble into water that contains PFAS, the PFAS will tend to go to those bubbles. And our system, called foam fractionation, takes those bubbles up out of the water column and then removes it in a foam. And then that foam is then treated in a photocatalytic destruction system where we use UV light and a special photocatalyst, which then destroys the PFAS compounds.
Awesome. What about your PFAS system would you have to implement? Because of course there's different sites that have different capacity restraints, and that's just a land thing. So what does somebody do if they have those capacity restraints and they don't maybe have all the space for a larger system?
Sure. Yeah, so one of the benefits of our system is it uses a significantly smaller footprint than any of the traditional solutions, but also the solution is stackable. We ship our solution in a shipping container. And as you're aware, shipping containers are stacked readily 10, 15 boxes high. So for a small rural community that may have a small amount of land set aside for their water treatment facility, or even larger communities that are boxed in, our solution can go up, not only half.
Awesome. And then what's the capacity for each one of those shipping containers?
So each module, for the drinking water and on wastewater side, we can do approximately 1 million gallons per day per module. Okay. We have smaller modules as well that will sell into other markets like landfill or other industrial sites.
Awesome. So if somebody had a 50 MGD plant, they could use about 50 of those shipping containers.
That's exactly right.
Awesome. How does somebody get in touch with you guys, and what part of the design process do you guys come in at?
Yeah, so I think for us it's important. We can come in at just about any point in the process because implementation of our solution is rather quick. We're not building a large piece of infrastructure. Essentially, we roll modules off an assembly line and deliver them to you as needed. But we try to get in early so that the options can be considered, not just for our solution, but against other solutions as well. And I might be a little biased, but I think our solution will turn out the winner when we do that. But the key is for everyone out there to understand that there's not just the traditional solutions available now. That may have been the case 2 years ago or even 6 months ago. But at this point, there's a lot more solutions available that are either more economical, better for space use, and there may be other advantages that might be particular to a particular water treatment facility.
Awesome. And so, somebody gets in touch with you, they say they want to install the Invicta system. How long does that process take before it's actually installed? Or
so for a single unit, it's going to be somewhere between 8 to 13 weeks.
Okay.
So you can have 1 million gallons per day solution on the ground and operating in about 13 weeks.
Awesome.
If you're doing multiple units, as they roll off the assembly line, obviously they can be shipping repeatedly to the pace of, as little as one a week.
Wow.
If needed.
Awesome.